It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 10th annual Newcastle County Sudden Cardiac Arrest Survivor Reunion at this beautiful Cab Calloway School of the Arts in Wilmington. My name is Assistant Chief Chris Johnson, Commander of the Administration and Special Operations Branch of the Emergency Medical Services Division, and I have the distinct honor of being your MC for this evening's event. Tonight, we will honor 195 firefighters and EMTs, 66 paramedics, 9 911 call takers, 9 police officers, and 8 civilians who took action and worked together successfully to resuscitate and save the lives of 41 individuals in 2021. Over 700 cardiac arrests occurred in Newcastle County in 2021. More than half of these patients were resuscitated at some point during the patient contact. The patients we're highlighting this evening were not only resuscitated, but literally walked out of the hospital with no neurologic deficit and basically the same way they were before their arrest ever happened. And let's not forget these patients were resuscitated during 2021 as the world was working through an incredible pandemic, a year that saw field resuscitations taking place with massive amounts of personal protective equipment, limited resources at a patient's side, and modified patient treatment procedures to keep all of you safe. Despite these challenges, you continue to provide excellent clinical care and save lives. And for that, all of you should be congratulated. At this time, I would like to call Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services Chaplain, Captain Father John C. McVoy III, to the podium to offer the invocation.
Let us pray. O Lord, as survivors, you have answered our prayers. You have challenged us. You have caused us to question. But tonight we pause to acknowledge life's challenges with your grace, to strengthen us, to comfort us, and to guide us. For this we pray. Amen.
This year's event is being held during National EMS Week, where the theme is Rising to the Challenge. This theme is particularly meaningful to remind people that every day we are faced with so many new challenges in our lives, and yet we still rise above them and continue to respond, support, and care for the needs of our communities. The 195 firefighters and EMTs have risen to the challenge of mastering the skill of effective compressions and taking ownership of our field resuscitations. The 66 paramedics have risen to the challenge of stabilizing these patients and providing advanced procedures in the field to save vital brain tissue and heart muscle. The 9 911 call takers have risen to the challenge of recognizing patients who needed immediate chest compressions and providing life-saving information over the phone. The 9 police officers have risen to the challenge of being first on scene to provide immediate CPR and carrying AEDs in their vehicles to assure a shock is delivered as quickly as possible. And the 8 civilians being recognized tonight have risen to the challenge simply by choosing to act and providing bystander CPR without hesitation. This year's EMS Week theme of Rising to the Challenge is simply what tonight is all about. An EMS system that sees 41 patients walk out of the hospital following a cardiac arrest is a system that is supported on many fronts. Many of our partners that offer that support are here tonight. We would like to thank all of our partner agencies for being here tonight and sharing this event with us. On stage with us tonight, Newcastle County Executive Matt Meyer, Chief of EMS Mark R. Logeman, and our Newcastle County EMS Medical Director, Dr. Justin Heisman. At this time, I would like to call Newcastle County Chief of Emergency Medical Services Mark R. Logeman to offer some remarks.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome our guests, first responders, survivors, family, and friends. It brings me great joy to host the 10th Annual Sudden Cardiac Arrest Survivors Reunion. It's been a heck of a couple of years, and this is definitely due. COVID-19 has certainly prevented us from getting together to celebrate. However, I'm glad to say that the life-saving of citizens and visitors to Newcastle County was not interrupted. Tonight, we're celebrating the return of life to 41 individuals who were victims of sudden cardiac arrest. The almost 300 first responders and bystanders who were integral in these stories of life-saving tonight are here, and they deserve our recognition for their efforts. Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services has made it our mission to provide the highest chance of survival to those who experience sudden cardiac arrest. We are constantly analyzing our data, updating our treatment modalities, and training our paramedics and fellow first responders how to administer the best treatment to those in need. At the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, I had concerns over the potential effect it would have on our patients. I was worried we would see less bystander involvement as a result of social distancing and the fear to spread the virus. As you see tonight, bystanders and first responders alike did not let COVID get in the way of helping their fellow man in need. Tonight, we will witness the stories of potential tragedy turned into stories of hope and continued life through the efforts of the heroes among us. Please join me in offering our first responders a round of applause for their selfless work during these trying times. To our survivors, thank you for being here to meet those who aided you in your journey back to health. Having you here to meet those heroes is what keeps many of us in public safety going. Newcastle County EMS is committed to growing the number of cardiac arrest survivors through public education. We have recently kicked off a hands-only CPR training campaign to train as many potential bystanders as possible. And it's a simple skill, CPR and AED use. After this event, anybody has any questions about that, see any one of the members of our staff, and we'll be sure to give you the information on how we can come out and help you and your communities learn this vital task. We have a lot to get to tonight, and I don't want to delay the ceremony much further. But before I end, I ask the first responders in the audience to take a moment this evening to look around and realize that the work you do is truly life-saving. It's worthwhile, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you. It's my honor to introduce the County Executive, the Honorable Matthew Meyer.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's great to see everyone this evening. I'm going to say three very quick things and then sit down and enjoy this extraordinary evening. In 2017, when I was first inaugurated as county executive, this is one of the first events I attended. At the time, I really saw each of these incidents and heard each of these incidents like any civilian would, like any patient would. I've never been a paramedic. I've never been an emergency medical professional. And so I naturally saw it as a patient and family member would see it. The tremendous heroism, the tremendous selflessness, service, sense of teamwork, technology that goes in to each of these extraordinary saves. As time has gone on, as I've gone on some ride-alongs with paramedics, police officers, as I've sat next to 911 operators, I've started to look at each of these incidents a little bit like I think many of you uniformed officers do, as emergency room physicians do, nurses, physician's assistants, those serving and trying to save lives. Now imagine for a minute that you have an interaction with an individual on the phone as a 911 operator. The person you're speaking to is a family member in desperate, urgent need. For 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. You're doing everything within your power to make sure seconds are saved, and that individual who you've never met and you don't know is kept alive. Imagine for a minute that you're a paramedic going into a strange home, in a frantic situation, trying to do whatever you can, working with your team members with the limited information that you can to save a life. And then you deliver the person to a hospital emergency room and you drive away. You're a 911 operator, you hang up the phone and you pick up the phone for the next incident. Imagine just emotionally, psychologically, what that feels like. In my life, I don't really have that. I do something, I focus on it, and then I kind of know, did it work? Did it not work? This evening is beautiful because it gives our uniformed officers, our first responders, our emergency room physician, an opportunity to see you, to hear the end of the story. And I think that in so many ways is so critical. So in addition to all the first responders who are here tonight for your heroism, I want to say thank you for the patients, for your families who've come here as well. It means the world, I know, to our paramedics, our 911 operators, our police officers, our fire service members that you are here tonight. The second thing I wanted to say is that when I first came into office in 2017, I thought paramedics and 911 and fire service was free. I thought it was free. I never paid for it as much as I knew. One thing you learn quickly as county executive when you're writing that first budget is it is not free. The paramedic service in particular is a joint effort. It's a shared cost of the state taxpayer with money coming from Dover, from your state income taxes, and the county taxpayer. Over time, the state has reduced its share of the paramedic expenses. When the paramedic service was created in this state in 1990, the state paid 60% of our paramedic costs. Today, they pay 30% of our paramedic costs. As I speak to you tonight, we are working down in Dover to increase that share so it's a 50-50 share. And I just wanted to put in a little plug that if you like what you hear tonight, if you believe in our paramedic service, if you want there to be more cardiac saves, if you want us to expand our paramedic operations here to reduce response times, please take a moment this week or next and call your state representative. Call your state senator and just tell them you want the paramedic share to go to 50-50. That would make the world of difference in us setting up increasing numbers of units to increase the number of cardiac saves each year. Finally, let me just say this. There are a lot of things that government does. We have public schools. We provide roads, obviously public safety, police officers, health, housing, so many things we can go on and list, libraries, parks. Tonight, for me, is really what it's all about. This is your tax dollar. This is individuals who've raised their hand to serve, who are literally saving lives. This is happening every day across our county, and tonight, we get to hear the stories. So let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy that the line between life and death can be so thin. And because of the tremendous dedication of the heroes who we're going to meet tonight, we're celebrating life. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive Meyer. Tonight's event will include recognition of providers by agency, and it will highlight actual cases, and we'll even hear some stories from previous cardiac arrest survivors. When your name or your agency is called, please approach the stage to my right. Survivors will be called once the first responders are on stage to allow you time to thank the men and women who worked hard to save your life. After your case is read, please exit the stage to my left. Participating in the first case that we'll hear this evening, would the following please come forward? Newcastle County Paramedics Corporal Michael Schustridge, Paramedic First Class Matthew Patterson, Paramedic Lexi Bastian, Newcastle County Communications Public Safety Operator Matthew Heitman, from the Brandywine Hunter Fire Company, EMT Gary Durant, and EMT Kyle Sweetman. From the Claymont Fire Company, Caitlin Finelli, Ryan Kukowski, and EMT Jamie Walls. We would also like to call to the stage the patient's son, Mr. Scott Goodman. And of course, we'd like to call Mr. Ronald Goodman. On April 29th, a 911 call was received from a business in the city of Wilmington for an unconscious male. Mr. Goodman had recently returned to his desk after getting a cup of coffee when he became unresponsive. His son initiated a 911 response and performed CPR. A basic life support ambulance from Brandywine Hundred Fire Company and Claymont Fire Company responded. They found that Mr. Goodman had pulses, however, was in severe distress. The basic life support providers immediately began resuscitating Mr. Goodman with a BVM until his condition deteriorated and they began CPR. The paramedics arrived and they applied the cardiac monitor, which indicated a lethal rhythm. CPR was continued and cardiac medications were administered. He was shocked a total of 10 times by the paramedics and basic life support providers. Prior to regaining pulses, he was removed from the business and transported to Wilmington Hospital. During that transport, EMS providers continued CPR and other life-saving measures. On arrival at Wilmington Hospital, and after approximately 40 additional minutes of CPR, pulses were regained. The Newcastle County EMS Division would like to recognize all the responders involved in this incident and commend them on a job well done. Their actions and interventions resulted in a successful outcome for Mr. Goodman. Mr. Goodman and his family are here today to meet some of those heroes who gave him a second chance. His son, Scott, played a vital role in what he states is a miracle. Mr. Goodman is back to himself and says his life couldn't be any better. Congratulations. Those members from the Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company that are being recognized tonight, would you please come forward and stand to my right? All 50 of you, or however many there are. They include Deputy Chief Dave Bailey, Assistant Chief Andrew Happer, Captain Olivia Alexander, Captain Justin Altimus, Captain Adam Reynolds, Lieutenant Matthew Cobb, Lieutenant Christopher Ginn, Lieutenant Ryan Cantino, Lieutenant Michael Allen. The following firefighter EMTs: David Carey, Dylan Cronin, Paul Garcia, Dean Hessel, Jonathan Huntley, Marty Krasavich, Timothy Long, Kevin O'Toole, Wayne Riel, Chase Strickland, Tyree Williams, Robert Alsher, Anthony LaSavia, Jolie Milborn, Tyler Stern, Kayvon Yastin, Brooke Campiglio, Lauren Conley, Mauve Donka, Monique DeMay, John Farrell, Hajar Javert, Christopher King, Jenna Klein, Mitch, Jonathan Kunze, Sarah Luca, Walter Meredith, Rachel Mariello. EMTs: Andrea Orr, Matthew Rogers, Jack Rutz, Liam Ryan, Jason Sheffield, Alec Thornton, and Catherine Willauer. All of these members from the Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company participated in one of those 41 cardiac arrests that occurred during 2021. Congratulations. The next case that we will recognize tonight involves the Holloway Terrace Fire Company and the Newcastle County Paramedics. Would the following from the Newcastle County Paramedics please come forward? Sergeant Jeffrey Russell, Paramedic First Class Matthew Herman, Paramedic China Madison, who's up in the sound booth. EMT from the Holloway Terrace, EMT Tyree Farrell, and EMT Chucky Subda. And I would also like to call to the stage Ms. Peggy Cole. cardiac arrest survivor, Peggy Cole. On December 28, 2021, a 911 response was initiated to Collins Park for a female complaining of chest discomfort. A basic life support ambulance from Holloway Terrace and a paramedic unit were dispatched. On arrival, she was in severe distress. A cardiac monitor was applied, and ALS interventions were initiated. They performed a 12-lead EKG and discovered that she was indeed having a significant heart attack. Transport was initiated to Christiana Hospital, where they were advised of the incoming heart patient. During transport, her condition deteriorated, and she went into sudden cardiac arrest. She was subsequently shocked prior to regaining pulses and consciousness. They completed transport where she was awake, breathing, and talking. The Newcastle County EMS Division is proud of the service provided by these individuals and recognize their professionalism and commitment to service. Mrs. Cole is here today, and she would like to thank her providers for, quote, saving my life. Since her recovery, she has enjoyed taking her dogs out on daily walks and going on lunch dates and bingo with her girlfriends. Congratulations. Next, we would like to recognize the two members from the Belvedere Fire Company that participated in a cardiac arrest case from 2021, EMT Tom Heyman and EMT Demetrius Todd. While they're coming up, I would also like to recognize that in attendance tonight is the first paramedic certified in the state of Delaware, is also a very big supporter of EMS, and attends our regular lunch or breakfast gatherings that we have. And those of you that have been in Middletown to our Middletown station, it bears his name. In the back, we have Mr. John Potter. Congratulations, gentlemen, the members of the Belvedere Fire Department that participated in cardiac arrest resuscitations during 2021. Members of the Brandywine 100 Fire Company that participated in sudden cardiac arrest resuscitations in 2021, firefighter EMT Gary Durant and firefighter EMT Kyle Sweetman. Also, some other special guests I would like to recognize while Gary's on his way up. Our State of Delaware Medical Director, Dr. Robert Rosenbaum, is here as well to support us. Dr. Rosenbaum in the back. Congratulations, Gary. With those members from the Christiana Fire Company being honored tonight, please come forward and stand on the stage to my right. And they include Chief Kevin Copperthwaite, Assistant Chief Cody Lockwood, Assistant Chief Joseph Shanahan, Captain Michael Pressler, Captain Brandon Speakman, Lieutenant Matthew Mancini, firefighter EMTs Mark Fasciolo, James Haslam, Dan Sutton, firefighters John Amet, Matthew Chiodo, William Moncrief, Dwayne Reeder, Joshua Ritter, Maurice Wimberly, Hannah Ciravalo, Molly Daisley, Patricia Hayes, Caitlin Jensen, Mackenzie Savner, Albert Schrack, and Lucy Varner. Unless there's no one from the Christiana Fire Company that's here this evening. Okay. The next case that we would like to recognize this evening, I would like to have the following paramedics please come forward. Sergeant Jeffrey Russell and Senior Corporal Ashley Steele. This case also involved the Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company, Captain Olivia Alexander, firefighter EMT Paul Garcia, firefighter EMT Timothy Long, firefighter EMT Chase Strickland, and EMT Hazra Haved. I would also like to call to the stage civilian Taylor Luck. The survivor of this case was unable to attend, but the civilian bystander who provided CPR should definitely be recognized. On the evening of July 30th, 2021, the Newcastle County Communications Division received a call for an unconscious male at a local nursing home. The patient was visiting the nursing home when he suddenly collapsed and suffered a cardiac arrest. The staff, including Taylor, who is here with us tonight, could not feel a pulse and rapidly initiated bystander chest compressions. They also applied their AED, which they had on site, and delivered 2 shocks prior to any EMS provider's arrival. Multiple units from Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company and the Newcastle County Paramedics arrived, providing ALS interventions and basic life support transport. The patient was transported to Christiana Hospital. He was noted to have some purposeful movement in his extremities during transport, with spontaneous openings of his eyes as well. The EMS crews delivered the patient to the emergency room alive. The EMS division is thrilled to acknowledge the honor of the heroic actions taken by Taylor and the other staff members and the first responders involved in this incident. The quick and proficient actions performed led to this patient surviving her sudden cardiac arrest. Congratulations. We'd like to recognize the following members of the Claymont Fire Company who participated in successful cardiac arrests in 2021. EMS Supervisor Robbie Vanderbrack, EMT Caitlin Finelli, EMT Josh Ferguson, EMT Ryan Kukalski, EMT Jamie Walls, EMT Nia Walton, and EMT Trent Whitaker. It's on, I know. Congratulations, ladies. At this time, we would like to recognize those members of the Cranston Heights Fire Company that participated in successful cardiac arrests in 2021. Firefighter EMT Kevin Gill, Firefighter EMT Anthony Lapone, Firefighter EMT Ed Yang, Firefighter Ryan Hushschmidt, Firefighter Daniel Lapone, Firefighter Jake Thomas, and EMT Mackenzie Sherman. Also this evening, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our previous EMS chief, who was one of the kind of supporting people behind initiating this event. Chief Larry Tan is here tonight. I don't know where he is, but he is here. There he is. Congratulations to those from the Cranston Heights Fire Company. I'd like to recognize those members from the Delaware City Fire Company that participated in successful cardiac arrests during 2021. Chief Emeritus Jamie Rasile, Assistant Chief Ronald Neal, Assistant Chief Kevin Turner, Captain Sam Boots, Firefighter EMT Quentin Boots, and EMT Jennifer Glasser. If anybody is here from the Delaware City Fire Company, if you could pick up their items to my left. Those from the Ellesmere Fire Company, Firefighter EMT James Farley, and Firefighter EMT Mark McLaren. Congratulations as the sole member from the Ellesmere Fire Company for being recognized. This being the 10th annual event, we wanted to kind of bring this full circle and discuss some of our patients and their stories. At this time, we would like to call Miss Amanda Brady to the stage. Amanda suffered a sudden cardiac arrest in 2015, and her case was highlighted at our 4th annual event. She went into cardiac arrest while at work where her 9 coworkers performed bystander CPR. The communications center provided pre-arrival instructions, the paramedics responded, and the Wilmington Manor Fire Department resuscitated her. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Amanda Brady.
Hello, my name is Mandy Brady. I have Thomas and Adelina here, and my daughter Ava and my dad are in the audience cheering me on to do this. When I heard that there was an opportunity to come and speak today to some of the individuals responsible for helping to save my life, I reached out. I didn't realize I would be speaking on stage. I just thought I'd meet them in the back, but here we are. 7 years ago, I was saved by good quality CPR performed by my coworkers at Bayada and the medical professionals who came from Newcastle County. 90% of people who suffer a cardiac arrest outside of the hospital will not survive. The rate of survival almost doubles when someone receives CPR. I'm told that I had 20 minutes of CPR and was shocked twice. I don't remember the week or the day, and whenever people ask me what happened, all I can say was, well, I was told. When I came to this event the first year after my arrest, I gave a postcard with a bunch of pictures in it from the past year. I wanted those involved that day to know that I'd not only lived, but thrived over the past year. My advice to the survivors here today is time helps. For my first year contained lots of physical healing, but not a lot of mental healing. I don't think I could possibly understand and process why, what, and how this could have happened. The fragility of life was hard for me to accept, but I knew one thing, and that was I was grateful. Healing and accepting the fragility has taken me longer. I had another cardiac arrest in 2020 just so I could truly appreciate the fragility. It was helpful. But as I reflect on what I have done over the last 7 years, well, I got to see my brother Don and my cousin Brittany get married, not together, but different events. I got to bury my mom, flew on a helicopter over the Grand Canyon, climbed many mountains, been on a boat. I got to hear first words, teach the kids to ride bikes, watch them learn to read. I survived a global pandemic, taught virtual school, and worked in healthcare through an unprecedented time. I have sung terrible car karaoke, danced in the rain, and been to Hershey Park. I am so terribly grateful to be here to watch my kids grow. My Ava is my oldest, my ride or die, the only one who has any memory of that time period. Ava has the intuition and street smarts to do anything. She sees the world as it is and tries to keep me from making any bad choices. Thomas is my hugger and kisser. He wins a room with his gentle soul and kind words. My Adelina, she has style for days, if you can't tell, and is a creative spirit. The world knew that they needed her. I can't wait to see what they become in this world. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I am thankful to those that helped save my life that day. Thanks for choosing to be a helper in this world. When the days and nights are long, know you have chosen a career that helps allow people to be there for their families, to sing and dance and live. Thank you for rising to the challenge. From the bottom of my heart, that doesn't always beat correctly. Thank you so much.
We're now going to discuss another case. Would the following Newcastle County paramedics please come forward? Sergeant Jeffrey Russell, Senior Corporal Matthew Mitchell, Paramedic First Class Leslie Antonelli Hobbs, from St. Francis EMS, EMT Anthony Ascione, EMT Tevin Glover, from the Wilmington Fire Department, Lieutenant Ryan Kincaid, Firefighter Edmund Sudler, Firefighter Brandon Moon, Firefighter Michael Malloy, and from the Newcastle County Communications Center, Breanne Sullivan. We would also like to invite to the stage Francis Jones. In the early morning hours of July 7th, the Wilmington Police, Wilmington Fire, and St. Francis EMS and a Newcastle County police officer, or Newcastle County Police, were dispatched for an unresponsive male found by his wife. A nearby Wilmington police officer arrived on scene first, pulled the patient out of bed, and began CPR. The Wilmington Fire Department and EMS arrived shortly after and initiated ACLS interventions. The patient was defibrillated several times with multiple rounds of advanced cardiac medications. Wilmington Fire Department assisted with a difficult extrication out of the residence. The patient was breathing on his own during transport to Christiana Hospital. The patient is here with us today, and Mr. Jones would like to thank the heroes involved in his case. Congratulations. Those members of the Five Points Fire Company being recognized tonight for successful cardiac arrest resuscitations during 2021, please come forward. Firefighter EMT Stacy Abraham, Firefighter EMT Andrew Hoff, Firefighter EMT Chad Richards, and Firefighter EMT Simon Velez. Some other individuals I would like to recognize tonight: Chief of our Communications Center, who does an amazing job training those 911 call takers to answer those calls and give those pre-arrival instructions. Chief Jeffrey Miller is here. Congratulations as the sole member from the Five Points Fire Company. Those members of the Hockessin Fire Company being recognized this evening for successful resuscitations, please come forward. And they include Assistant Chief Randy Broadwater, Captain Kevin Hovis, Master Firefighter EMT Jordan Edgerton, Firefighter EMT Olivia Alexander, Firefighter EMT Pamela Dayton, Ann Gillespie, William Krupa, Jacob Morgenthaler, Kavan Yazdan, Jacob Straub, Stephen Carradine, and EMT Jenna Start. Congratulations to those members from the Hockessin Fire Company. Mr. Dean Phillips, a past survivor from 2018, was unable to attend this evening, but he sent in a story with some pictures, and we thought was very fitting, so we decided to share them with you this evening. Dan stated that he's very thankful for his first responder heroes and gratefully said, quote, "Thank you for not giving up on me." In June of 2019, only 6 months after his cardiac arrest, and with the blessing of his cardiologist, he went on a scheduled 13-day Alaskan cruise with their daughter, husband, and 3 grandchildren. He, along with his wife and family, thank God every day for the police, EMTs, and paramedics of Newcastle County. Without their quick, outstanding response, he would not have survived. They truly are special, caring individuals, and he stays in touch with a few of them. Today, he states at age 75, he feels good and even has a part-time job. He enjoys boating on the Chesapeake, which you can obviously see there, enjoys attending car shows in their 2020 Corvette, and he exercises and walks regularly. He states every day is truly a blessing, and he thanks his survivors for giving him a second chance at life. And we thank him for sharing his story. The two members from the Holloway Terrace Fire Department being recognized this evening for their participation in resuscitations, firefighter EMT Tyree Farrell and firefighter EMT Chucky Subto. Those members from the Mill Creek Fire Company being recognized this evening, please come forward. They include firefighter EMT Tyler Bailey, Matthew DeMarco, James Doughton, Corey Eckridge, Walter Meredith, William Quinn, Paul Riccio, John Guzzo, Will Detterline, Rachel Horkey, Jordan Simpers, and Margaret Valencia. You'll hear tonight that many of our cardiac arrests had law enforcement officers on scene prior to our arrival. There's a reason that is there's tremendous support behind the leadership of all the police agencies that we work with. Tonight, I would like to recognize some police leadership we have in attendance tonight. Lieutenant Colonel of the County Police, Lieutenant Colonel Wendy Fieser, Major Ben Feldman, Major John Treadwell, and I think Captain, I think that's all that's here. I'm sorry. I think I saw Dan Rogers. I think Captain Dan Rogers is in the back. Thank you for being here. Congratulations to the members of the Mill Creek Fire Company for your participation in 2021. Those members of the Minquist Fire Company being honored for their resuscitations in 2021, please come forward. Assistant Chief Brandon Ham, firefighter EMT Tyler Biorio, firefighter Michael Catino, firefighter Ryan Chesky, firefighter James Demchek, firefighter Josh Klinger, and firefighter Brendan Mahoney. Congratulations, gentlemen, for your participation in successful resuscitations in 2021. The next case that we will introduce involves the Newcastle County Paramedics, Christiana Fire Company, and the Etna Hose Hook and Ladder Company. Would the following personnel please come forward? Senior Corporal Dana Bowerson, Paramedic First Class William Doan, Paramedic Jamie Jaquette. From the Etna Hose Hook and Ladder Company, Matthew Rogers, Walter Meredith, Jonathan Kunze, Lieutenant Matt Cobb, Captain Olivia Alexander, Sarah Lucia, Paul Garcia, Justin Altimus. From the Christiana Fire Company, Patricia Hayes and Daniel Sutton. We would also like to welcome to the stage Mr. Anthony Webb. And the most important person, the cardiac arrest survivor in this case, Mr. Dwayne Webb. On February 12th of 2021, Anthony Webb called 911 because his father had collapsed and was having a seizure. The 911 call taker realized that he was in cardiac arrest and gave Anthony CPR instructions. Anthony provided chest compressions until help arrived. The Etna Hose Hook and Ladder Company, Christiana Fire Company, and Newcastle County Paramedics arrived and took over CPR from Anthony. They confirmed that Dwayne was indeed in cardiac arrest and his heart was in a lethal heart rhythm. Paramedics shocked Mr. Webb multiple times, and his internal AICD was also attempting defibrillation. After a lengthy resuscitation, Dwayne's heart started to beat again. He was then transported to Christiana Hospital alive. Dwayne Webb and his son Anthony are here today and we would like to praise Anthony for his quick actions and ability to provide CPR. To his father, with Anthony's help, all of the first responders are here today, and thank you. And for providing CPR to your father for that amount of time is pretty impressive. We only get through 2 minutes. Congratulations. Would the three officers from the Newcastle County Police Department that are being honored this evening please come forward? And they include Officer First Class Greg Muserwitz, Officer Kyle Simpson, and Officer Scott Williams, Jr. Greg, you're by yourself. Congratulations. I should have just said Greg Moose. But those members of the Port Penn Fire Company being honored this evening, Michael Kempista and Tom Stratton. At this time, I would like to call Miss Diane Minucci to the stage. Diane suffered a sudden cardiac arrest in 2016, and her case was highlighted at our 5th annual reunion. She developed discomfort in her chest while at home and initiated 911. Tallyville Fire Company and the paramedics arrived, and they took her to the hospital, where they resuscitated her during transport. She was resuscitated, or she went into cardiac arrest in the back of the ambulance. She was resuscitated by the EMTs and paramedics and has been healthy ever since, and has an amazing story.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
It's nice to see you again.
as well.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's such an honor to come back and return to speak again. I've been to several of these reunions, and I wouldn't be at any other place. I was 53 years old when I had my heart attack. I had the Widowmaker. I had my grandchildren with me the night before, took them to the park and played all day long. They exhausted me, but the next day, I didn't feel well. My son at the time was at the academy. He was, and now today is a Newcastle County police officer. Very proud of him because he wanted to come home and have dinner. And he came home and I was by myself. And he took one look at me and he knew something was wrong. And he called 911. My paramedics, Mike, Travis, and Tony, were there immediately. I remember seeing them at the time when I had my cardiac arrest. I remember yelling at them, asking them, "Don't let me die, don't let me die." And they didn't. Since then, I have my son that I'm very proud of, that I see do community service every single day. I have 3 beautiful grandchildren. My daughter was pregnant at the time of my cardiac arrest. My cardiac arrest was in March. My 3rd granddaughter was born in June. So I'm very blessed that I was there to see her. I'm just thankful every day. My cardiac arrest put me in early retirement. Not a bad thing, but since then, it's been going on 6 years. I don't take one day for granted, not one day. I don't stress out anymore. Nothing matters to me but my children, my grandchildren, and enjoy life because it's precious and it can be taken away, as we know. I thank God every day that I'm here. I told Mike and Travis before, they didn't just save me. Every paramedic out here has to understand how important it is and what you do and how important it is, that you just don't save the patient. You save a whole family, many people. Many people. And I'm thankful for you every day and what you do out there. Since my cardiac arrest, Mike and Travis and Tony are now part of our family. They've been into my home, they've been to dinner, we've gone out to dinner, they've been at my son's graduation when he graduated from the Newcastle County Police. They know my family, and we love them very much. So, like I said, I just don't take one day for granted. And I thank each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Diane. The next case that we would want to highlight involves the Newcastle County Paramedics, Aetna Hook and Ladder Company, and Christiana Fire Company. With the following paramedics, please come forward. Paramedic First Class William Doan, Paramedic First Class Ashley Tylenda. From the Aetna Hook and Ladder Company, Assistant Chief Andrew Happer, Captain Adam Reynolds, Lieutenant Christopher Ginn, Firefighter EMT Marty Krasavage, EMT Jenna Kleinmich, Firefighter Anthony LaSalvia. From the Christiana Fire Company, Hannah Saravalo, and the civilian in this case, Miss Alicia Sanchez. Unfortunately, the patient was unable to attend this evening, but Alicia is here. On the afternoon of July 9th, 2021, a call was received from a pet store in Newark reporting a customer had collapsed and begun to have a seizure. While the employee, Alicia Sanchez, was on the phone with the 911 operator, the patient began to turn blue and they stopped breathing. Ms. Sanchez relayed this information to the call operator, and the 911 operator instructed Ms. Sanchez to initiate bystander chest compressions. Ms. Sanchez performed CPR until first responders arrived. Aetna Hook and Ladder Company sent multiple crews to this incident, as well as crews from the Christiana Fire Company. When the first ambulance arrived, they took over compressions and began rescue breathing. The AED shocked the patient twice prior to the paramedics arriving. When the paramedics arrived at the pet store, advanced life support measures were taken. The patient was shocked 4 additional times prior to successfully restoring pulses in the patient. The patient was packaged and then transported to the hospital. She remained unresponsive, however, began breathing again on her own. She arrived at the Christiana Emergency Department alive. Ms. Smith was unable to attend tonight. Since her cardiac arrest, she has been living a healthier life, and she wanted to extend her gratitude and thanks to all of the first responders who saved her life. Additionally, the Newcastle County EMS Division extends its greatest respect and gratitude to Miss Alicia Sanchez for her heroic actions that day. She was a vital part to the chain of survival, as she immediately recognized the patient was in sudden cardiac arrest, activated 911, and started CPR until EMS arrived. Without Miss Sanchez's help, it is strongly believed this patient would not have survived. Congratulations. We'd now like to honor all the members of the St. Francis Emergency Medical Services who will be receiving awards tonight. Would you please come forward? And they include Captain Sean Chudzik, Lieutenant Margaret Salter, Lieutenant Benjamin Verna, Lieutenant Richard Workmeister, the late Sergeant Trevor McNabb, Sergeant Corey Pierce, EMT Jordan Angel, EMT Anthony Ascione, EMT Nathan Carrier, EMT Casey Corcoran, EMT Chris Jarrell, EMT Avery Edgerton, EMT Nicole Landel, EMT Angela Malozzi, EMT Morgan Taylor, EMT Daniel Waltersheed, EMT Logan Cole, EMT Tevin Glover, EMT Olivia Hunter, EMT Liam Ryan, and EMT Kately Thompson. Congratulations to all of the members of St. Francis EMS for your successful resuscitations in 2021. Those members of the Volunteer Host Company of Middletown that are being recognized tonight, please come forward. And they include EMT Lauren Franklin and EMT Quentin Hipsher. Those members of the Wilmington Manor Fire Department being recognized tonight, would you please come forward? And they include EMT Deanna Aiken, EMT William Bowden, EMT Edward Moran, and EMT Reed Wilson. As you can see, many of our cardiac arrests also occur in the city of Wilmington. We work with the city of Wilmington as they provide firefighter EMTs for many of our cardiac arrests, in which we provide in the city limits. I'd like to recognize Chief Looney from the City of Wilmington Fire Department, who's also in attendance tonight. Congratulations, Deanna and Chief Michael. Congratulations. We'll now discuss another successful cardiac arrest case from 2021. And they involve the Newcastle County Paramedics and the Etna Hose Hook and Ladder Company. With the following, please come forward. Senior Sergeant Donald Kennard, Senior Corporal Retired Kenneth Sliney, Paramedic First Class Miguel Cruz, and from the Etna Hose Hook and Ladder Company, Deputy Chief Dave Bailey, Lieutenant Matthew Cobb, Firefighter EMTs Dean Hensel and Chase Strickland, and EMTs Brooke Ciampaglio, EMT Christopher King, EMT Alec Thornton, EMT Andrea Orr, and two civilians in this case, Joseph Howe and Julia Mossinger. And the individual whom you successfully resuscitated, Mr. Stephen Detweiler. On the evening of July 2nd, 2021, a call was received requesting help for a male who suffered a medical event while standing on a ladder. The patient fell from the ladder and was unconscious. Neighbors and family members quickly realized the patient had suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. Units from Etna Hose Hook and Ladder Company were first to arrive and took over compressions from the bystanders. When Newcastle County paramedics arrived, they applied a cardiac monitor, established IO access, and administered cardiac medications. Before they left the scene, his pulses were restored. Prior to initiation of transport, the patient's heart rhythm then deteriorated into a lethal rhythm. CPR was again resumed, and the patient was shocked again. Following additional shocks, pulses were restored and transport was initiated. During transport, pulses were lost once more. Paramedics resumed CPR, shocked the patient 2 additional times, and upon the arrival at the emergency department, the patient remained in cardiac arrest. However, he had started to breathe on his own. The staff at Christiana Hospital continued resuscitative efforts, and pulses were eventually restored. Mr. Stephen Detweiler and his wife Donna are here with us tonight to express their heartfelt gratitude to the civilians and first responders involved in this case. Mr. Detweiler has stated to us that every day is a special event. Back in August, the Detweilers celebrated their 37th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. And he also enjoys attending classic car shows and working on the restoration of his own Chevy Monte Carlo. The Newcastle County EMS Division is proud of the service provided by these individuals and are honored to recognize their professionalism and successful resuscitation in this case. Congratulations. Would all of those members from the Wilmington Fire Department being honored tonight please come forward? There's a lot of them. Captain Michael Kurzada, Captain Jason Strecker, Lieutenant Craig Black, Lieutenant Andrew Bowerson, Lieutenant Dennis Hitchens, Lieutenant Ryan Kincaid, Lieutenant Tim Taggart, firefighters Justin Altimus, Jason Anderson, Brian Bacon, Jeffrey Campbell, Marcel Castellan, John Capola, Nicholas DeVista, Hasib Durrani, Brian Foote, Sean Furrow, Joshua Giles, Travis Gittins, Sam Giones, Kevin Green, David Groban, Ryan Hahn, Brandon Howe, Louis Jeffries, Michael Malloy, Brandon Moon, Alex Ortiz, Matthew Ramone, Dylan Slatcher, firefighter Michael Smith Jr., Edmund Sudler, Peter Vincent, Kyle Zuber, and probationary firefighters Amanda Carey and Mitchell Brown. A dedicated group of individuals. Thank you. Many of the stories you'll hear tonight involve bystander CPR. That bystander CPR could not be performed without the professional men and women that work in our communication center. We would like to recognize those members of our Newcastle County 911 Center that participated in successful resuscitations in 2021. Senior Assistant Platoon Leader Christopher Williams, Telecommunicator Brianne Sullivan, Telecommunicator Brandy O'Neill, and the following public safety operators: Alfred Russell, James Chadwick, Marky Baker, John Curry, and Matthew Heitman. A lot of times you don't see the faces behind the phone, but here they are. Congratulations. Those members of the Wilmington Police Department being honored tonight, would you please come forward? And they include Master Corporal Matthew Geiser, Master Corporal Eric Meese, Master Corporal Joshua Wilkers, Senior Corporal Tyler Giles, Corporal Keith Johnson, and Officer Philip Poorman. Congratulations, gentlemen, and thank you for participating in cardiac arrest cases in 2021. The next case we will recognize involved the Newcastle County Paramedics and the Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company again, and our Newcastle County communications staff. Would the following please come forward? Sergeant Scott Keir, Senior Corporal David Lawrence, and Senior Corporal Christopher Shad. From the Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company, Captain Adam Reynolds, Lieutenant Ryan Cantino, firefighter EMTs David Carey, Dylan Cronin, Kevin O'Toole, Chase Strickland, EMTs John Farrell, Jonathan Kuntze, Jack Rutz, Jason Sheffield, and from the Newcastle County Communications Center Public Safety Operator Alfred Russell. This case had a very important civilian, Miss Elizabeth Dowell. And the most important person, the sudden cardiac arrest survivor, Mr. Cecil Dow. On the afternoon of June 22nd, 2021, a call was received from a resident in Newark requesting help for a 70-year-old male who was unconscious and not breathing. The patient's wife, who was on the phone with 911. While she was on the phone, the 911 operator determined that he had suffered a sudden cardiac arrest and provided CPR instructions. With that assistant, Elizabeth provided CPR to her husband until help arrived. The paramedics arrived first, took over CPR, and initiated ALS measures. Aetna Hose Hook and Ladder Company responded with 2 ambulances and a fire engine. It does take a village sometimes. Providers performed chest compressions for a total of 29 minutes. The patient received 6 shocks and multiple medications before regaining pulses. Mr. Dow was then moved to the ambulance for transport. During transport, additional life-saving medications were administered, and he was stabilized. The quick recognition of CPR by the 911 operator and the actions of Mr. Dow's wife, Elizabeth, and the quality of patient care during this event proved for a beneficial outcome. Because of this, he was discharged from the hospital with no life-altering deficits. Since making a full recovery from cardiac arrest, Mr. Dow has been quite busy with his friends and family. In July, he states he celebrated his 71st birthday, and then in September, he and his wife celebrated their 50th anniversary together. But it doesn't stop there. He visited numerous places this past year, including the Smoky Mountains, both of the Carolinas, Havre de Grace, Maryland, and the peaks of Outer Lodge on the Blue Ridge Parkway. He enjoyed Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all with his family, and recently attended a close friend's wedding. Mr. Dow and his family are here today to express their gratitude and meet the people responsible for saving his life. The EMS division wishes the Dows safe travels, which I'm sure you'll have many more, as they are leaving for a trip to Utah tomorrow to celebrate their 51st wedding anniversary. Have a safe trip. As the Newcastle County Paramedics, we work with multiple different agencies, and they were all recognized here tonight. The paramedics provide the ALS service to all areas of the county. At this time, we would like to recognize all of the paramedics who participated in successful resuscitations during 2021. There's a lot. Lieutenant Isaac Hankins, Lieutenant Donald Morris, Senior Sergeants Abigail Haas, Donald Kennert, Richard Mormon, Peter Small, Sergeants Scott Keir, Jeff Russell, Alan Short, Matt Watson, Senior Corporals Dana Bowerson, Rui Coons, Dave Lawrence, Matt Mitchell, Mike Petrocenia, Chris Shad, retired Senior Corporal Kenneth Sliney, Ashley Steele, Jorge Vasquez, Keely Warwick, Corporals Christopher Boyles, Laura Hill, Katrina Jansen, Elena Karikis, Craig Lindell, Emily Mallon, Yvonne Russell, Julie Santora, and Michael Schustridge. Paramedic First Class, Leslie Antonelli, Christopher Collins, Miguel Cruz, William Doan, Ernest Garcia, Michelle Hamrick, Matt Herman, Danielle Johnson, Oliver Coker. Paramedic First Class, Susan Maxwell, Mike O'Shaughnessy, Matthew Patterson, Mark Plumley, Mary Kate Sellner, Travis Tomei, Ashley Ty Lenda, and Jack Warwick. Paramedics Jessica Baker, Lexi Bastian, Christina Branca, Marissa Brancotti, Nicole Capello, Matthew Casson, Michael Connell, Leanne Coop, William Greenlee, Madison Hartman, Alana Healy, Jamie Jaquette, Michael Joseph Young, China Madison, Michael McNeil, Ivory Murray, Matthew Rashford, Jordan Rivera, Christina Shorb, Christopher Turnbull, and Sean Williams. And yes, there's still paramedics out there working tonight. I would also like to recognize from the Wilmington Police Department, Inspector Ash is with us here this evening. And as you can tell, we work with multiple police agencies. The county police provide that police service to all of our unincorporated areas. But we also work with the Delaware State Police, and I would like to recognize Major Cox, who's here with us this evening as well from the Delaware State Police. With the following personnel, please join me on stage. Captain Kelly Starr-Leach, Senior Corporal Dana Bowerson, Senior Corporal Leo Reed, Corporal Katrina Jansen, Corporal Yvonne Russell, Paramedic First Class Leslie Antonelli Hobbs, Paramedic First Class William Doan, Paramedic China Madison, and our Community Outreach Coordinator, retired Paramedic Corporal Lori Williams, Senior Corporal Lori Williams. Every successful resuscitation is the result of exemplary teamwork and intense dedication. Putting together an event such like this is no different. The SCARS committee works throughout the year, spending countless hours researching cases, communicating with patients and their families, and logistically organizing the event. For everyone in the first 3 rows, these are the individuals that have been bugging you the past 2 months. Please join me in thanking this group of dedicated individuals for their work in making tonight's event a reality. In addition, we would also like to thank the Holloway School of the Arts for the use of their wonderful facility, and Mr. Brian Touche, who's up in the sound booth, who's been making sure that all this is run greatly. Chris Ginn from Chris Ginn's Photography is here and has been snapping all of our photos for us. It's down in front. Also received a couple cardiac arrest survivor citations tonight. Thank you, Chris. Kyle Grantham from Newcastle County Communications is here tonight. And escorting everyone in were members from our 4th Paramedic Academy, who's in their probably 5th or 6th month now at the Academy. Congratulations to them. Before we end tonight's event, we wanted to highlight one more cardiac arrest survivor from a previous reunion. This survivor suffered a sudden cardiac arrest in June of 2011 and was recognized at our very first annual sudden cardiac arrest survivor event in 2013. Tonight, we have a short video to highlight her story.
June 6, 2011, I was 18 and 2 days after my high school graduation. I went to the local YMCA, I trained for soccer, I came home, and around 11:30 that night, I went up to my mom's room to say, I don't feel so well, and collapsed on her bed.
Our mom woke me up screaming, "Grant, there's an emergency." I came downstairs to find Grace on the floor. Our mom went down to wait for the paramedics, and she stopped breathing in my hands. We later learned that she had gone under sudden cardiac arrest.
This can happen to anyone. I was in peak health. Again, no warning signs. It can happen at any time, and this is why we need you to be prepared.
I learned CPR in an elective class when I was 13. I never expected to have to do it on my little sister. In these cases, every second matters, and that's why it's so important to be prepared.
You never know when it's going to be your turn to save a life.
It's been so amazing watching her just fight back from this event. Now she just finished her first year in med school is just amazing and inspires me, her older brother, every day.
So I think it's difficult for me to answer the question of why I chose to go to medical school, but because after what happened, I didn't feel like it was a choice anymore. It's something I have to do, and I will work as hard as I have to. I'll continue to push the limits to make sure that what my lifesavers did that night, their efforts were worth it.
And that's simply just the beginning of Grace's story. A story that continues to inspire us all, and a story that is truly the pinnacle of what this cardiac arrest survivor is all about. I'd love to share with you the rest of Grace's story. However, her story can probably best be told in the first person. Grace?
Good evening. If you hear my heartbeat resounding on the microphone, know it is pumping with overwhelming gratitude. In medicine, we learn to present patient histories and relevant facts about as fast as humanly possible. So please just throw a sign to slow down if this starts reflexively happening to me tonight. It is an honor to be back to Delaware, where I grew up, to Tower Hill High School, where I studied, and played about every sport, to Route 202, primarily charcoal pit. And here specifically, years ago, I sat in one of your seats, afterwards meeting Chief Tan and my sudden cardiac arrest family for the first time. Those hugs are ingrained in my memory. As some of you may know, over 360,000 people experience sudden cardiac arrest outside of the hospital each year. Currently, as reiterated tonight, less than 10% survive. And of those 10% that survive, even fewer recover with a, quote, favorable neurological outcome or preserved brain function. So I'd like to take a brief moment of silence for those lives lost and for their families. Thank you. Fortunately, we also know that the probability of survival can be markedly increased if immediate CPR is provided and an AED is used. I look into the crowd and see some of the faces who are in my heart forever. The people who met me lying without a heartbeat at 18 years old, and who, through their relentless efforts, enabled me to stand so proudly before you at 29 years old as a senior resident doctor of family medicine at Stanford Hospital in California. It is you who have given me the privilege to wear this white coat. It is your efforts which have been woven into this fabric. I'd now like to share a piece of my medical record to describe in detail how the men and women among us saved my life. The patient was apparently in her usual state of excellent health. She was talking to her mother and said that suddenly she felt poorly and collapsed. Her mother mentioned that the patient collapsed on her bed and woke her up from sleep. The patient was unconscious but breathing. The paramedics were called, and her older brother immediately started CPR. When the police and paramedics arrived, the patient had agonal respirations without a pulse. An AED was placed and a shock was delivered. CPR was continued. The patient was found to be in ventricular fibrillation, an abnormal heart rhythm, and was shocked multiple times. Intraosseous infusion, which is drilling into the shin bone to administer vital fluids, was performed in my mom's bedroom. She was intubated at the scene. Resuscitative efforts were continued on the way to the emergency department. She was coded again with shocks and medications, including, for our responders, amiodarone, magnesium, epinephrine, and bicarbonate. Pulses were regained and stabilized after about 45 minutes to 1 hour of CPR. The patient was apparently moving all extremities after the code. She was sedated and placed on hypothermia protocol to preserve brain function. I cannot read that paragraph without highlighting the length of CPR, 45 minutes to 1 hour. Police officer Mike Justison told me he did about 1,000 push-ups on my chest that night. I believe him. And now, as a doctor responding to code blues in the hospital, which are called when a patient has lost their pulse, I understand that that amount of time is practically unheard of. After a few days in the hospital under a medically induced coma, I woke up to a hospital room full of colorful banners from my school and soccer teams, but I was very confused. How did I get there, and why could I barely move? During my 10-day hospital course, one extraordinary nurse, Janet, rearranged her schedule to be my sole source of consistency. While undergoing a basic cognitive assessment, as I struggled to connect the letters of an alphabet, Janet held my hand. Through my fearful tears, she sat patiently with me. She tried to make me laugh. She was there for me, defiantly pulling forth the teenage girl lost beneath injury and sedation. I ended up leaving the hospital with an implanted defibrillator, or ICD, in my chest, an insurance policy to protect me if this were ever to happen again. After 3 months of very basic cognitive and cardiac rehabilitation, I decided to start college in honors biology. Despite my doctor's and mother's advice, sorry, Mom, I also started playing soccer for the university. It would take a good deal of time to build the confidence to even attempt an admission to medical school. There's one saying in particular that I've kept with me after my cardiac arrest. It's one I'd love for us to recite together. Please repeat after me. Everyone has two lives. The second one begins when you realize you only have one. Thank you. I can point quite exactly to the date of the start of my second life, as described above. But in the medical field, we are also reminded of it frequently in our regular day-to-day. The following story is still raw, so bear with me, but I feel compelled to honor this memory here. Whew. Last week, truly 6 days ago, I was walking into the hospital around 6 p.m. to work the night shift. I received a message from the daytime team saying that they were going to be late because they were at a code blue. When they came back and entered the room to meet us, sometime later, their expressions appeared numb. One of my co-residents finally said, "They called it," a shorthand way to say the team had stopped compressions and the person had died. We then learned that the person was not a patient. He was instead a young, athletic, intensive care unit doctor who had previously spent time practicing medicine in the Navy. He was working in the hospital that day and was found down in a bathroom by a nurse. After, similarly, about 40 minutes of CPR, they determined further efforts were futile. Cause of death is unknown. He is survived by his wife, who's also a doctor, and 2 young children. 2 nights prior, I had watched him lead a code, managing CPR, placing IV lines, intubating a patient. He was calm and collected, the epitome of a professional under pressure. I was in awe. The night he died, I visited his room to say goodbye, as he was a wonderful teacher to me as a resident. His skin was gray. His eyes were open but fixed, terms that described me back in 2011. I've created images in my mind of my time in the emergency department after collapse, and I imagine this is about as close a picture as it gets. My whole body felt pain for him, for his family, and I remembered that for whatever reason, I got another chance. In the hospital my first year as a resident, about 1.5 years ago, I took care of a chronically ill, kind of cachectic-looking gentleman who we'll refer to as John. John had suffered a stroke with what's known as expressive aphasia. This means he could understand everything we were saying, but he struggled to string together words in response, and often repeated back what was said to him. Also, because the stroke was on the left side of his brain, his deficits were right-sided. He could not write, and he could no longer walk. Despite all of this, he had a wry sense of humor, its complexities and its nuances. Several days into his care, he was even able to force a smile. But as determined and bright as he was frustrated, trapped. I looked into his charted contacts and found his sister. I called the hospital house supervisor to convince them to let her visit under the strict guidelines that COVID had induced. They agreed. The next day, I sat at John's bedside and let him know that Jane would be coming at lunchtime. He looked at me, and when I was getting up to leave, walking out of the room, he managed the energy to push a few words out of his mouth. "I love you," he said. And again, "I love you." From this tough, frail, but rugged man, that was about the last thing I'd ever expect to come out of his lips. But it's a testament to the tragedy of illness and the power of humanity. I will round out tonight with a final point about health equity. I'm from a family of humble means, but from a global perspective, I'm still incredibly privileged. And I'm only standing here today because of world-class care, both scientifically and technically, and the skill of our well-trained workforce to move nonstop, nearly an hour, to keep me alive. but there's great disparity in access to this level of care. To help me explain, I'll draw from and in memory of one of my role models, Dr. Paul Farmer, who died suddenly in his sleep in February of this year. Some of you may know him as a modern-day public health legend. He worked in Haiti during medical school at Harvard and later established Partners in Health to bring healthcare to the most destitute of places. In his book, To Repair the World, he explains that science has revolutionized medicine, but there was no plan for ensuring equal access. Excellence without equity is what we have inherited, he says. It's a chief problem among us, and quote, only when we're all under general anesthesia of the soul will we be able to ignore it as the century moves on, end quote. This is to say that as we celebrate our wins tonight, let's not let our privilege allow us to forget that our fight is far from over, because there undoubtedly will be future sufferers of sudden cardiac arrest all over the world. And maybe, just maybe, someone's life and the grief of a family can be prevented by our message to perform CPR, call 911, and locate the nearest defibrillator. The collective us, we have a voice, and we should use it to pay forward our good fortune. I often wonder if I collapsed while living in another zip code, let alone another country, without our fantastic emergency response systems and personnel, would I be alive today? Thank you.
Grace, your story has become the focal point of the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Survivor Union and truly the pinnacle of what we do. Your achievements continue to inspire everyone in the pre-hospital setting. For your continued support of this event and advocacy for bystander CPR, the Newcastle County EMS Division would like to present you with a small token of our appreciation. Don't go anywhere else. Your attendance at tonight's event was a surprise for everyone in our audience tonight, but now we have a surprise for you. Each responder who treated you in the June of 2011 and was present at your 2013 reunion is here again tonight. Would those individuals please come forward? Retired Newcastle County Master Corporal Michael Justison, former Newcastle County paramedic and Delaware State Trooper David Frank, former Newcastle County paramedic and Christiana Care flight medic Brian King, former Newcastle County paramedic and current paramedic Elizabeth Alderson, Newcastle County paramedic Senior Sergeant Donald Kennard, Tallyville Fire Company EMT Lieutenant Brandon Thomas, and Tallyville Fire Department firefighter EMT Kyle Rice. Did everyone get their photos? Because in 10 years, we'll do another one. Thank you, everyone, for coming back. Grace, don't leave. At this time, I would like to ask all of the cardiac arrest survivors, not only those honored tonight, but those recognized previously at previous events, to please come forward and join Grace on stage. We're just going to get a photo. I would also actually like to recognize Grace's mother and aunts are here tonight. Yeah. Thank you for being supportive.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, and for all the first responders in attendance, this is why we do what we do. Thank you. Thank you. Keep in contact because we'll need you to come back and speak again next year. So. You can, it doesn't matter. At this time, I would like to call Newcastle County Emergency Medical Services Chaplain Captain Father John C. McVoy III to offer a benediction. As he is coming up to the podium, I would like to say at the conclusion of tonight's event, there are areas in the lobby for the responders to gather with their survivors that are here tonight to share stories, exchange emails, take photos, and just spend time.
Let us pray. Go forth into the world in peace. Be of good courage. Hold fast to which is good. Render to no one evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the afflicted. Honor everyone. Love and serve our Lord and each other, rejoicing in gratitude to live another day. For this we pray. Amen.
In closing tonight, the Newcastle County Paramedics encourage all first responders continue rising to the challenge. You are the ones who make our EMS system what it is and make an event like this possible. And in the words of Grace Firestone, know that what you do, as emphasized by these individuals who walked across this stage tonight, makes a difference. Thank you.